All right, let's talk about something that's been on my mind for quite a while now, the conversation about talent development systems. The United States' pay to play, travel ball driven model versus Japan's meticulous, fundamentals first approach rooted in school teams. Two systems, two cultures, and two drastically different philosophies on what makes a great ball player. So, what's working, what's not, and what can each side learn from the other? And we'll start with the biggest elephant in the room, which are the structural differences between these two systems. In the United States, the youth baseball landscape has been practically hijacked by travel ball. Sure, you've got Little League for casual players, but the talent pipeline, it's all about those high-profile, high-cost travel teams that crisscross the country chasing trophies, exposure, and scholarships. Travel ball is a business, plain and simple. And like any business, the goal is profit. You've got showcases, tournaments, and elite teams all promising that golden ticket, college recruitment, and the attention of pro scouts. But the high cost of entry is shutting out kids with raw talent who just can't afford the travel fees and training. How many more Mike Trouts are out there that we'll never know about? Now, over in Japan, you've got the polar opposite. Development is rooted in the school system, where baseball is not just a sport, but a way of life. We're talking strict training regimens, attention to detail, relentless discipline, and the best part, it's accessible. If you're willing to commit, you've got a shot. And the pros and the cons of each system? U.S. travel ball has high exposure, specialized coaching, but accessibility issues and early burnout. And the Japan school system is extremely accessible, fundamentals focused, but sometimes overly rigid and lacks creativity. And the second big difference is the coaching quality and the training focus. Let's break down how these players are actually trained. In the US, the quality of coaching in travel ball is like a lottery. Sure, we've got a lot of elite instructors, guys who played at high levels or specialize in hitting and pitching or fielding. But not all of them are good teachers. And not all of them care about the fundamentals, because the goal, winning, and winning now. Don't get me wrong, competition breeds success. But when the end game is always another showcase, another tournament, you start to see a pattern. Fundamentals are often glossed over in favor of the highlight reel that's going to catch the recruiter's eye. Now look at Japan. Training over there is less about flashy plays and more about meticulous, almost obsessive attention to basics. They don't care if you can crush the ball 450 feet if your swing isn't repeatable. Drills, discipline, repetition, over and over until it's flawless. And while American kids are jumping from team to team trying to get noticed, Japanese players are being shaped from the ground up. The fundamentals are baked into their development from day one. And the result, more consistent, technically sound ball players. And the third big difference is the philosophy behind development in general. In the United States, travel ball is all about high-pressure situations week after week. These are intense schedules, playing constant showcases and always having that pressure to impress. The upside is that kids get used to playing in front of scouts and dealing with their nerves and adapting on the fly. But here's the downside. How much actual training are these kids getting? Not much. There's a difference between playing games and developing skills. Travel ball's go-go-go approach leaves no time for real growth. And when they do train, it's mostly about perfecting what already works and not addressing all their weaknesses. Now compare that to Japan, where the focus is almost painfully slow by comparison. Players drill the fundamentals until it's muscle memory. Their practice sessions last longer than the actual games. And when they do scrimmage, it's all about execution, precision, and baseball IQ. And it's been shown that players that are coming out of Japan's system have really high success rates. They tend to have higher baseball IQs and more polished fundamentals. American players are often more explosive and athletic, but can be hit or miss when it comes to consistent fundamentals. Here's the reality. Japanese players excel in adaptability, discipline, and mechanics. The US produces pure athletes who are sometimes raw and unpolished. And also, when you're constantly under pressure to perform, you tend to take shortcuts. Coaches are pushing for results, not progress in travel ball. The mentality becomes, what can you do now, not how can you grow over time? Meanwhile, in Japan, it couldn't be more different. They drill fundamentals until it's automatic. They might spend an entire practice on footwork or swing mechanics. And guess what? They don't care if it's boring, because to them, mastering the basics is what ultimately wins games. And ultimately, the end game of all of this is to play professional baseball. So let's talk about the path to the pros. For American players, the pathway is so convoluted. You've got college baseball, JUCO, the minor leagues, and increasingly independent leagues. And while that does provide a lot of options, it also creates a chaotic system where only the most resilient or well-connected can make it. And then there's the issue of burnout. The travel ball system puts so much pressure on kids at such a young age that some burn out before they even hit their prime. Not to mention, many raw athletes are priced out of the system altogether. Now, Japan's approach is different, but it's got its own kind of brutal efficiency. High school baseball is the backbone of their development system, with Koshin standing as the ultimate proving ground, which I think that's their high school championship every year. It's a really big event there. If you make a name for yourself at Koshin, you're practically guaranteed attention from Nippon Professional Baseball, or NPB. The minor league system does exist in Japan, but it's not nearly as convoluted as it is in the US. But here's the catch. Because so much emphasis is placed on high school baseball, those who don't make it through the traditional pipeline often find it difficult to pursue baseball as a career. If you get your shot and you miss, well, good luck. So what's the bottom line? Why are so many Japanese players thriving in the major leagues while the US continues churning out a revolving door of talent? Well, let's look at the numbers. International players make up roughly 48% of Major League Baseball, and many of them come from systems that value fundamentals over flash. The Japanese system has produced some of the most consistent, disciplined players the league has ever seen. And while the US system creates undeniable superstars, it also leaves a lot of talented kids behind. So what's the ideal approach? Maybe it's a combination of both. Take the fundamentals first approach from Japan, mix it with the creativity and competitive intensity of American travel ball, and you might have something special. So whether you're a parent shelling out thousands for travel ball or a high school coach trying to instill discipline in your players, maybe it's time to consider what's really working. And more importantly, what are we missing? Because if baseball is truly America's pastime, maybe it's time we learn something about how the rest of the world is developing their stars so that 48% doesn't become the majority. Share your thoughts and ideas in the comments. Please like this video and subscribe. I'm trying to grow this channel, and your help is greatly appreciated. Thank you for watching, and I will talk to you all later.